Michael, stay in there with Kobe. You wasted 7 years and you're 35 and I'm 58, so I didn't waste no years, did I?
Why, now he wasn't expecting this annulment. Did you not know when I said obey who, obey what? I'm not the submissive mother queen.
Hey y'all, welcome back. So the court finally put Angela on blast by freezing her bank account, and let me tell you, this was the shakeup we've been waiting for in the drama-filled saga of Angela and Michael from 90 Day Fiancé. After years of money messiness and back-and-forth drama, the court swooped in to make sure the cash got split right. And honey, folks are saying this was way past due. From the moment they said "I do" to that messy divorce, Angela kept all the coins in her account, hers and Michael's, leaving him broke and at her mercy. Sis was playing financial puppet master, controlling every dime that came through, making Michael totally dependent on her. And don't get it twisted, Michael wasn't just sitting pretty, he was grinding too, sending money back home to Nigeria and hustling for their little side gigs. But still, Angela was the one with the money bag, and now the court's stepping in to even the score. Now y'all know Angela's got that rough around the edges attitude and she don't take mess from nobody, but she took it to a whole new level when she started using money to keep Michael on a tight leash. Sis was running the show, deciding when and how that cash could flow. Poor Michael was out here begging like a kid just to get the basics. Food, a place to sleep, even some new clothes. Can you believe he had to keep rocking the same outfits over and over because Angela straight up refused to give him a dime? She'd hit him with the "we need to save for a rainy day" excuse or make him feel bad for just wanting a little something extra. It wasn't long before Michael was feeling trapped, like he was locked up without any say-so in his own life, emotionally drained and financially stuck. Even though Michael was doing his part, he was left feeling like a guest in his own marriage, just sitting around waiting on Angela's mood swings to decide if he could get what he needed. The divorce? Oh, that only put the spotlight on how lopsided their money situation really was. Angela wasn't about to let go of her grip. She tried to pull a fast one, claiming all the cash in the bank was hers and hers alone. Sis really had the nerve to say Michael didn't bring anything of value to the table, acting like she was the only one holding it down. In her mind, being the main breadwinner meant she deserved to walk away with almost everything, leaving Michael with crumbs. But Michael wasn't about to let Angela's story fly without a fight. He came through with receipts, literally, showing how he put his own money into their marriage, only to have Angela lock him out of what he rightfully earned. Friends and family didn't hold back either. They stepped up and spilled all the tea about Michael's struggles, telling stories about how he had to keep asking for cash just to get some new clothes or put food on the table. The court wasn't blind to the truth. They saw right through Angela's power play. After hearing all the testimonies and looking at the evidence, the court decided to freeze Angela's bank account until they could sort out all the mess. This move was all about leveling the playing field, making sure Michael finally got a fair shake once everything was tallied up. The freezing of that account hit Angela like a ton of bricks, y'all. She'd been so used to flexing her financial muscles over Michael, but now, for the first time in years, she couldn't even touch her own money without the court watching her every move. The judge made it clear this wasn't just about who gets what, but about laying down the law for fairness and justice. Angela had been using that bank account like a weapon, controlling Michael and calling all the shots in their relationship, and the court wasn't having it. Freezing her account was their way of putting Angela in check. And let's be real, this wasn't just some minor inconvenience for her. It was a full-blown public embarrassment. Angela, who's always prided herself on being the boss in both love and money, suddenly found herself without the control she cherished so much, and you know that had to sting. In the days after the court's smackdown, Angela found herself in a position she never imagined, having to beg and borrow money from friends and family just to get by, and trust, she was not happy about it. The whole situation had her feeling some type of way, uncomfortable and straight up resentful. Her inner circle? They started backing away, noticing how Angela's behavior was getting more erratic and unpredictable by the day. Folks who used to ride for her began to side-eye her motives, and some even flipped the script, throwing their support behind Michael and calling for justice. The court's decision didn't just freeze Angela's money, it put her dirty laundry out there for everyone to see. And honey, the backlash was quick and brutal. Angela's reputation, which was already dragging from that messy divorce and all the abuse allegations, took another major hit. Meanwhile, for Michael, the court's ruling was like a light at the end of a long, dark tunnel. After years of feeling silenced and powerless, Stuck in a relationship where he was constantly put down, this decision to freeze the bank account was the validation he desperately needed. It was the court's way of saying, "We see you, Michael, and we're not letting this slide." As he waited for the final word on how the money would be split, Michael started to picture a life where he could finally break free and rebuild, without Angela's shadow hanging over him. Michael started talking to his friends about big plans for the future, maybe even starting a new business back home in Nigeria. He was ready to use his share of the assets to build something that truly mattered. For the first time in what felt like forever, Michael finally had control over his life and his choices. From day one, viewers and folks close to them knew Angela and Michael's marriage was on shaky ground. What seemed like a wild, unlikely love story between a loud, no-nonsense American woman and a younger, laid-back Nigerian man quickly showed its true colors: a mess of manipulation, control, and imbalance. Angela's behavior towards Michael was all about dominance. She just couldn't help but be in control, which set the stage for a relationship full of drama, resentment, and, ultimately, a big-time failure. The red flags were waving from the jump. When Angela first jetted off to Nigeria to meet Michael, it didn't take long to see that her loud, take-no-prisoners personality was clashing hard with his laid-back vibe. Sis was always talking over him, brushing off his opinions, and demanding that everything go her way. In those early days, Angela wasn't shy about belittling Michael, throwing shade at his financial situation, his culture, and anything she thought made him less of a partner in her eyes. While Michael was bending over backward to meet Angela's endless demands, it was clear she wasn't about to meet him halfway or even try to understand. For Angela, every little thing was a test of Michael's loyalty and devotion. She was quick to throw accusations of cheating and disloyalty at him, often with no proof to back it up. Even the tiniest disagreements would blow up into loud, public showdowns, with Angela raising hell in front of everyone: friends, family, even strangers. What she called keeping it real was really just crossing the line into straight-up disrespect and verbal abuse. And let's not forget her jealousy, which was another big red flag that this relationship was heading straight for disaster. Even though Michael kept reassuring Angela of his love and commitment, her insecurities just kept growing. She turned into a full-on detective, stalking his social media, demanding access to his phone, and grilling him about every single interaction with another woman. There were times she'd go so far as to force him to block every female contact, making him prove his loyalty by deleting friends and colleagues from his life. Angela's need to control every single aspect of Michael's world was beyond obsessive. It left him feeling completely smothered. She saw any chat with another woman as a major threat, an act of betrayal that she needed to crush on the spot. Oh, let me spill the tea. So Michael, always the life of the party and a genuine people person, suddenly found himself stuck in a lonely corner. Angela's demands were turning up the heat, and boy, did things get messy. There was this one time when Michael, just being his friendly self, gave a casual hello to a female friend. Angela, who couldn't handle the heat, flipped out and made a scene, leaving Michael red-faced in front of everyone. And honey, this wasn't a one-time drama. Angela's jealousy and insecurities kept fueling these over-the-top, irrational tantrums throughout their whole marriage. Drama, drama, drama! Angela's grip on control didn't just stop at Michael's social scene, it stretched right into their bank accounts. From day one, she let it be known that she was the boss of the money. Angela constantly rubbed it in that she was the main breadwinner, strutting around like she was the queen of finance. She would boast about her cash flow while throwing shade at Michael for not stacking up. This set the stage for Michael to feel like he was always on the back foot, forever playing catch-up and feeling downright small. The money talk turned into a power play, leaving Michael feeling pretty much like a financial sidekick. Despite Michael hustling with his own small businesses and pulling his weight at home, Angela just couldn't give him the credit. She flaunted her role as the sole provider, making it crystal clear that Michael was just lucky to be with her and riding on her coattails. She had him constantly feeling like he was on a never-ending audition to prove his worth, like she was the ultimate prize, and he was just grateful for the gig. Once they tied the knot, Angela's control over the cash got even tighter. She took charge of all their accounts, shutting Michael out of any access to their shared money. It was like he was financially handcuffed, unable to make a move or spend a dime without Angela giving the green light. It was her way or no way, leaving Michael in a real financial bind. Michael was often reduced to begging Angela just to get enough cash for the basics, which was not just a blow to his pride, but a serious hit to his self-esteem and independence. It was beyond humiliating. But Angela didn't stop at financial control. She was a master of emotional manipulation, too. She'd toy with his feelings, flipping from sweet to sour like a switch. One minute, she's showering him with affection and praise, and the next, next she's tearing him down for the smallest slip or imagined slight. Her verbal abuse was like clockwork. Angela didn't just criticize, she went all out, insulting his intelligence, hurling nasty names, and throwing shade at his cultural background. It was a constant roller coaster of love and venom, leaving Michael dizzy and demoralized. Angela had a nasty habit of making Michael the punchline of her jokes in public, all while hiding her cruelty behind a mask of humor. If Michael ever flinched or showed he was hurt, she'd just turn around and accuse him of being too sensitive or ungrateful. Things got especially brutal during one argument when Angela went straight for the jugular, questioning Michael's manhood and tearing into his ability to provide for her the way she demanded. She ridiculed his job prospects and laughed at his dreams of a better future. Michael, wounded and unable to keep up with her fiery confrontations, often retreated into a painful silence, and Angela didn't stop at verbal attacks. Her psychological games were just as harsh, keeping Michael constantly on edge and doubting himself. Angela had this cruel trick of threatening to end their relationship, or cut off her financial support whenever Michael tried to stand up for himself or disagreed with her. It was a constant cycle of threats and insults that wore him down, making him question his self-worth and whether he could ever make her happy. And it didn't stop there. Angela was all about airing their dirty laundry in public. Family gatherings, social media, you name it. She'd spill their personal drama for everyone to see. It was like she thrived on the chaos and loved the spotlight that came with their conflicts. She'd use every public platform to accuse Michael of all sorts of wrongs, whether it was supposed infidelity, being financially irresponsible, or just not loving her enough. One particularly infamous moment was when Angela blasted Michael on camera for not picking up one of her calls fast enough. She screamed at him, with the cameras rolling and the world watching, turning a personal spat into a public spectacle. Michael, clearly uncomfortable and red-faced, tried to defuse the situation, but Angela was on a mission to blow things up even further. She made sure everyone around them knew just how ungrateful Michael was, turning the moment into a public spectacle. It wasn't just Angela's family and friends who saw this. Her drama played out in front of the show's viewers too, leaving Michael feeling utterly humiliated and exposed. Angela's public tantrums were all about her craving control and validation. She'd play the victim, seeking sympathy by painting herself as the wronged party, but it only drove Michael further away. Her need to drag others into their private mess showed she had zero respect for their relationship's boundaries and just highlighted how fragile their marriage was. As time went by, Angela's behavior spiraled into full-blown erratic and aggressive territory, adding even more chaos to their already tumultuous relationship. The red flags that once seemed like mere warnings turned into glaring signs that this marriage was doomed. The breaking point for Michael came when Angela's intimidation crossed into physical territory. She'd go off the rails, throwing things, slamming doors, and making menacing gestures whenever Michael didn't meet her demands. One especially chilling moment was when Angela spat at Michael during a heated argument. That wasn't just a low blow. It was a clear sign that things were escalating into serious abuse. Michael, visibly rattled, found himself constantly having to fend off Angela's unpredictable and increasingly violent outbursts, which had become all too regular. And if that wasn't enough, there was another incident where Angela, in a fit of rage, poured hot water dangerously close to Michael. It was a reckless and hazardous act that highlighted just how volatile their relationship had become. Friends and family started raising red flags about Michael's well-being, and even Angela's own kin were shaking their heads, urging her to get some help and warning her that she was crossing major lines. But Angela wasn't having any of it. She brushed off their concerns, sticking to her guns that her actions were all about keeping things real and insisting that Michael just needed to toughen up and accept her terms. From the get-go, Angela and Michael's marriage was plagued with hurdles that seemed impossible to overcome. Angela's overbearing personality, her desperate need for control, and her trust issues created a climate of fear and submission for Michael. Her tight grip on the finances, her emotional manipulation, and her constant verbal abuse were all clear signs that their relationship was built on a shaky foundation, unable to handle the stress and conflicts that came their way. Angela's behavior over the years wasn't just problematic, it was flat-out abusive. It revealed a pattern of dominance and control that left Michael feeling boxed in and powerless. As time marched on, it became crystal clear that Angela had zero intention of changing or compromising, making the relationship's survival nearly impossible. The court's decision to freeze her bank account was just a small step toward justice and fairness, but it also served as a harsh reminder of the damage done done, and the long road of healing still ahead. Divvying up the assets turned out to be way more complicated than anyone thought. Angela's account was a mess of years' worth of transactions, many of which were poorly documented or deliberately hidden to muddy the waters. Forensic accountants had to step in to dig through every deposit and withdrawal, sifting through the financial chaos to uncover the real story behind the money. Every transfer and payment had to be scrutinized to paint a clear picture of who contributed what during their tumultuous marriage. Michael's legal team argued passionately that he not only deserved a fair cut of the money in the account, but also compensation for the emotional turmoil and financial strain he endured due to Angela's manipulations. They highlighted how Angela had used the funds to control Michael, even going as far as to withhold money needed for basic living expenses. Angela's side, however, tried to throw a wrench in the works by claiming many expenses in the account were for Michael's own benefit. But that ploy didn't hold water. The court's auditors quickly debunked those claims. As the weeks dragged on, it became clearer that the court's decision to freeze the account was shaping up to be a win for Michael, offering him a glimmer of justice in the midst of all the chaos. Preliminary reports from the accountant were a real game changer, suggesting that Michael had indeed been shortchanged throughout the marriage and was likely owed a hefty chunk of the frozen assets. Michael stayed cautiously optimistic, understanding that while this financial win was crucial, it was just one piece of the puzzle in his journey toward healing and independence. With public support growing and a fair settlement seeming more within reach, Michael felt more empowered than ever to break free from Angela's suffocating control and start anew. Meanwhile, Angela's troubles were far from over. With her bank account frozen and her reputation in shambles, she found herself increasingly isolated, facing the fallout of her actions with no easy way out. The community that had once applauded Angela for her bold and unrepentant attitude now looked at her with suspicion and disdain. Her attempts to win sympathy and rally support fell flat as people saw through her attempts at manipulation. Angela was left to face the fallout of her actions, with the financial power she once wielded like a weapon against Michael now stripped away. Her social standing was plummeting, and the chances of reclaiming her old life seemed increasingly slim. Angela hadn't just lost money. She had forfeited trust, respect, and the backing of those who were once her closest allies. The price of her behavior was steep, and the road to redemption looked more daunting than ever. When the court decided to freeze Angela's bank account, honey, it wasn't just a legal play. It was a bold statement on fairness and holding folks accountable. For Michael, it was his long-awaited moment to finally get his due and snatch back what was rightfully his. Angela, on the other hand, was left eating humble pie, staring down the consequences of her shady moves. As everything settled, one thing was crystal clear. The drama between Angela and Michael is far from over. But the power dynamic? Oh, it's definitely shifted. Thanks for tuning in.